Forget all the misconceptions or preconceived notions that, certain business only happens on certain platforms. It happens everywhere. I looked back and I was like, man, if I could have done one thing more, I would have focused on building my name and my personal brand just as much as any product or company or industry that I might represent at the time. Whether you're an employee, whether you're an affiliate, whether you are the owner, you always have this opportunity to be building your personal name within any organization or within any opportunity. Most people, they change their content strategy and it changes, they forget about the simplicity behind a clear and quality brand. Opportunities come and go, businesses come and go. There's no perfect place to be in any of these scenarios, whether you have kids or you don't. I mean, everyone goes through it in their own way. But I think the interesting thing was sitting back for a moment and really taking a moment to decide, what would I like to do next? Who am I going to do it with? Why am I going to do it?
In addition to being a podcast host, I'm also a small business attorney, mostly providing legal services in New York and New Jersey. At my firm, we help small businesses, entrepreneurs, family-owned businesses with things like contract drafting, corporate governance, purchases of businesses, sales of businesses, tax planning, real estate, and even estate planning. With over 3 decades of experience, we can handle most transactional issues. So if you're watching the show and you encounter some sort of legal issue, reach out to us. You can connect with us and visit our website, bindhackerlaw.com. There you can read our law blog, Insights Legal Blog, and you can set up a free consultation. If you want to connect, I'm on all the platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and the others. So as a lawyer, I'm here if you need me. As a podcaster, thanks for tuning into the show and for continuing to support us. All right, Jeremy. So thanks for coming on the show this morning. I appreciate it. Where are you dialing in from or logging in from?
I'm originally from Delaware, but I'm actually currently living in Lisbon, Portugal.
There you go. So this is an international episode. I like those when I do those. That's cool.
Yep, I guess
so. Portugal, it's probably dinner time there, mid-afternoon?
Yeah, about 3:45.
Okay, fine. 10:45 here. Okay, good. So thanks for coming on the show. I'm glad we connected. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, your training, your schooling. I'd like to know how you ended up in Portugal. What are you doing there? I hear it's a great place. My daughter went there with my mom, and they had a great time. Portugal and Lisbon, I think they went to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so why don't you give us that background?
Well, originally from Delaware, Pennsylvania, sort of area here. I started as an entrepreneur at 19. I don't know if you want me to go, all the way through younger, but 19 years old as an entrepreneur, I left high school a year early. Okay. And I was actually a touring musician for a while. I've been a drummer my entire life, and music was my entire passion up until 19 when I got introduced to my first entrepreneurial opportunity.
And did you say, okay, I finished school early, or did you say, I'm done with this, I'm leaving early?
I finished my senior year online, high school online, while I was touring.
Got it.
While I was touring with the music gig, and spent about a year and a half doing music and touring, and then I found this entrepreneurial opportunity. It was network marketing at the time, and I fell in love with it, and I got really, really passionate and excited about personal development, about like growing a team, leadership, and also finding a way to build business from basically anywhere at any time. Okay. Right. And so from 19 to my early 20s, I represented this company, this health and wellness company, and built this affiliate network of about 5,000 people all over the world. And it was had a tiny bit of success and kind of made first tiny little chunk of change, and then after that few years of everything going well, I get a phone call one day, and the company had an internal problem, and they basically shut down overnight.
Really? Okay. Overnight.
I mean, in 24 hours, it was done.
Really?
And so I looked back and I was like, man, if I could have done one thing more, okay, I would have focused on building my name and my personal brand just as much as any product or company or industry
Right.
that I might represent at the
Right.
time.
Okay.
And so, yeah, early mid 20s, that kind of led me down this big path, this mission to figure out what it means to go build this personal brand and how social media and social can help us build relationships, do business. And
Sure.
fast forward, here we are, 7, 8 years later.
Right.
We built Influencer Club, and we built my wife and I built this entire company to serve us first, right, to
Right.
solve a lot of these problems for us first. And then it ended up becoming Influencer Club, helping a few thousand other people work and build on their brands as well. So
Right. And I guess the problem was you were tied to this company. You didn't have a personal profile, so to speak. And that was the earlier days of social networking and social media. And this company went down and just, right. It's just like, well, what do we do now? Right.
well, whether you're an employee, whether you're an affiliate, whether you are the owner, you always have this opportunity to be building your personal name
Yeah.
within any organization or within any opportunity. But a lot of the times people are so focused. I was so focused on putting the company on its pedestal
Right.
that I didn't do enough building of my own name. And so when it came time to make that move, or whether I liked it or not, it was
Right.
time to
No
make a shift.
choice.
Right. So
Exactly.
I hadn't really put too much emphasis on my own brand. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I would give advice to anybody in any position is to, continue working on that no matter what place they're in their
Right.
journey. Yeah.
But you were kind of on your own at that point, right? It wasn't like you were part of a marketing agency or anything. So what did you and your wife do? How did you start looking into, okay, well, how do I do this? How do I build my personal brand?
Yeah, well, it was many years before I had even met my wife at that point. I mean, it
Okay.
was just,
Just you.
it was just me. I saw opportunity. I saw a lot of people, on social media posting content, creating a
Right.
name for themselves, kind of funneling, for lack of better words, funneling relationships and people through social into their real life, into
Right.
their business or an end result.
Yeah.
And so I ended up meeting someone who was starting to build a company, went into business with this person, and grew this social media company over the next many years.
Right.
And
To
went
work with
down.
other people to help promote them on social media, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
went through the process of literally handling Instagram accounts, as a manager,
Right.
hands-on, following and doing all these things, these really, really simple tasks at a beginner's level,
Right.
to understanding why it's important, to, selling it, to consulting and building my own name, to reinvesting all of my earnings into my own brand to
Right.
grow that. Right. And so that was kind of the next phase, going down to South Florida. We had a lot of really amazing people that we helped. A lot of them were around like the Grant Cardone ecosystem,
Sure.
if you're
Yeah.
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it really opened my eyes up to what a personal brand can really do at scale and at growth. And so I was very fortunate. I had a mentor. This person helped people like Cardone, Patrick Bet David, Damon John, Kevin O'Leary. I
Yeah.
mean, he helped them grow to their first 1 million followers. And so I learned this process, and I invested in this process myself.
Yeah.
And that's when we started to build, the infrastructure for our companies
All right,
around
cool.
that.
Well, in the second half of the show, we'll talk about tips and tricks and things you should know about what you should be
Sure.
doing for your personal brand. So, but your income at that point, right? You were with this network marketing company just dried up, right? It wasn't like it was you left the company, but your residuals continued. They went out of business. There was nobody, right? Probably some
Yeah,
illicit things going on.
they had a lawsuit, and it stopped
Yeah.
everything froze immediately. So, I mean, I was, I don't know, 22, 23 years old.
Right.
And, I mean, we were earning, I don't know, 60 to 100 grand a year, somewhere around there. Which for a young person in their 19, 20, early 20s, was not a bad place to be. It's a good
Right.
foundation, a good start. But then, yeah, went back to absolutely nothing, and kind of figure out where to go from there. And
Yeah, exactly. Well,
which is a
luckily
which
you weren't married, you didn't have kids, you didn't have, maybe you had a mortgage, I don't know, but you probably had less, like you could do those things then. It was less, it wasn't like you're hurting other people, just you. So you can figure it out and kind of start over, right?
well, opportunities come and go, businesses come and go.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no perfect place to be for in any of these scenarios, whether you have kids or you don't. I mean, everyone goes through what they, goes through it in their own way.
right.
But I think the interesting thing was sitting back for a moment and really, really taking a moment to decide what what would I like to do next?
Right.
Who am I going to do it with? Why
Right.
am I going to do it? And so, you know, for me, that's a moment that I looked back. I actually made a list of
Yeah.
the top 10 people that inspired me, that were doing something unique, doing something special, doing something that I thought was that I thought was cool, that I'd like to
Yeah.
do. Um, and I ended up reaching out to one of those individuals and just offering my help. And
Just to
that's
learn
where,
from them and get into their ecosystem, right?
well, no, to work with, I wanted to,
Yeah.
to
To
go and
learn.
provide, to go build their business with them.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, of course, learn, but like, I gave this person a call and I said, hey, I want to go build this. I'm going to build this thing with you. Not concerned about pay at the moment. Let's go build something. And with this individual, we grew a company from a few thousand a month to, 300,000-400,000 a month before I ended up leaving and starting my own. But, but that was off of a decision of someone that I saw was doing something interesting that
Right.
I'd like to be a part of and grow. Right.
Right. Yeah. So I guess that answered my first question, was what was the business plan? Like, you come out, you're young, right? You got no experience really, except for what you've been doing in business. And then you go to these
Yeah.
people, and I mean, that's a good way to start, right? To look at what other people are doing, learn from them, find out if you're in sales, you're in whatever, have coffee with somebody every month and say, hey, Jeremy, I know you've been successful. What kind of things did you, face? How did you do it? What'd you do wrong? What'd you do right? What advice can you
Yeah.
give me? But you literally like targeted these, whatever, 10 or 15 people and said, hey, I want to work with you. But what was the offer? I mean, here I am, right? I'm a guy,
Yeah.
I'm doing maybe not too much, but you're 19, 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
Early 20s. What
Yeah.
was do you remember what the
Yeah.
pitch
Yeah.
was? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the person that I reached out to, they knew who I was.
Okay. So there was a
And
connection there.
yeah, and
Okay.
and I didn't necessarily know this or not, but they actually had seen what I had done in that previous network marketing business.
Ah, okay.
And so they actually valued the whatever skill set that I had, the ability to
Right.
sell, the ability
Unbeknownst to you at the
to
time.
lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he made it very clear very quickly as we spoke, as he was excited and said, yes, please come on board. Let's we'd love to have you aboard. But it's funny you mentioned that, because I think that a lot of people have this, they're 1 degree off when they
Right.
go to someone that they look up to.
Yeah.
I see it happen. I've seen it happen 100 times. They go to the person and they say, what can I do for you?
Right.
And they say, I'd love to learn from you. What
Right.
can I do from you? And they don't realize that although the intention is good, that is just as much of a problem for that person to
Right. It's too
decide.
much. Yeah. They don't have the bandwidth just to be helping you. They need a vision of how you can also help them.
Help them. Exactly. So think first, what skills do I have? And then when you do approach that person, tell them, hey, here's what I can do for you. Here's how I can make that happen for you.
Right.
I promise they're going to be a lot more excited and thankful
Yeah.
that,
No,
you're
that's a
not.
good point. I talk to a lot of young attorneys that are getting started, and they ask me, listen, I just want to learn from attorneys. I just want to see what they're doing. They don't even have to pay me. And I go, yeah, but that can't be your offer, because the attorney's busy, right? He's got things going on.
Right.
He's got clients. He's got customers he's got to deal with, ethics he's got to deal with. He's got to supervise you. And he's thinking, oh, I'm going to teach you all of my stuff for free, but what am I getting in return? And it just,
Yeah.
clogs up my bandwidth as to what I can do as an individual. So I think that's some very good advice. If you're going out there and seeking, the knowledge that other people are doing, you better have it couched such that it's good both ways,
Yeah.
because as much as people are altruistic, and I really believe that when you go to somebody, you say, hey, Jeremy, I really need your help. your first inclination is, oh, absolutely, Mitch, what do you need? But then when you start laying it out that, I just want to learn from you, whatever it is, I want to follow you around. And then you're thinking, oh shit, I'm going to have Mitch following me everywhere. Like what, but if you came to me, like you said, and said, Mitch, I'm looking to learn, I'm looking to grow, but I've been watching you and I want to work with you and help you. I think I can help here and there. Now I'm like, okay, well, I can help you and you can help me at the same time. That I have room for in my life. So I guess some of it was happenstance, right? Some of it was like you didn't know behind the scenes until later on. But yeah, I agree with you. You can't just, like, a cup of coffee is fine. A Zoom call to pick my brain is good. Following me around, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, too much.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just a little bit of a lack of clarity on
clarity is a good word.
I used to watch it when you're sitting in the event and you've got the speaker, whoever that famous person is,
right?
And the people, they come up to them and they say, I want to pitch you my idea. Can you work? I want to work for you. I want to partner with you. I want to do this for you. And the speaker says, you've got it all wrong. I'm not even the person to make that decision.
Right.
Go talk to my head of X, Y, and Z and part of the business. Right. So it's the same thing when you approach that person, help them, make it easy for them. Okay. Right. What can you do for them? Leaders and mentors, they like to pay people. They like to see you win. They don't want somebody to just, get something for free and not have a reward for it.
Right.
So I'd rather put you to work and figure out how we can, hey, what do you know? Do you know spreadsheets? Do you know websites? Do you know marketing? Do you know email? Right. I mean, and I love that. I've watched a lot of young people. I mean, there's still young people in my ecosystem that are learning new skills every day.
Right.
And it's worth to be on payroll to watch them grow and develop into a role that 6 months ago they weren't doing anything like that, and now they're leading a new department that was created from scratch. That's worth it. Absolutely.
Of course. So I think clarity is a very good word for this episode, right? Because I think you do need, if you want to do this, clarity as to what you want to do, how you want to build your brand. And if you're going to approach people to work with, you better be clear about what you can bring to them versus what they can bring. Because we already know they could bring stuff to you, right? So when you first got started with this guy, what were your thoughts? Like, what are you going to do for this guy? You were in network marketing. You don't know anything about personal branding. It's not like you were a marketing major in college. You're owning an agency. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. Which by the way, like, no offense to anybody who's gone and gone through that whole process, but thank God I didn't go through a bunch of theory and
clogging up your mind. You were involved.
I joined a company and I went and figured it out. I mean, I did networking events. I did presentations in front of one person.
Yeah.
And then eventually hundreds and hundreds, and
just to promote this guy and promote.
No, just to promote that very first network marketing business. Okay.
Oh yeah, sure. You had done that, right? I mean, that was your skill set.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So when I contacted this person, although I didn't have this big social media brand created, the one thing I had was a reputation from what I had done in that previous network marketing company, as an example. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And you had built the network, built a following. That's basically what you were doing, right?
Yeah. Speaking, building a network of affiliates and product consumers and other sales affiliates as well.
The difference being you were promoting really their brand. They were getting their brand promoted on your back. And then you're like, well, this is ridiculous. Now they're out of business. I can promote me.
Yeah, sure. Or find a great product or a great service to promote. Find something that you can get passionate about. And so when I reached out to this person, I made it very clear that I'll help them build a team. How big is the team currently? How many people do you have selling? How many people are promoting this product, this service? Let's grow this team of a network and increase your revenue. And I don't know, pay me based on percentage of increase of revenue, something like
success
that.
Fee, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it was really business development, promotion and business, PR and business development, getting to know the brand, increasing revenue. Because at the end of the day, I mean, sure, you and I will love to promote our personal brand, but it's got to have some ROI at the end of the day, right? There's got to be an increase in something. Sales of your book, subscribers to your podcast, actual revenue that's coming in for your business, right? So what did this guy do, by the way? What was his?
Yeah, he was
business?
in the early stages of creating just a social media management company.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so this was 10 years ago, and at the time the service was helping someone grow their following just by following and connecting and through their Instagram. As
Right. So
simple as
the deal
that.
was to do the legwork
Yep.
of following and connect, because a lot of that I know on Instagram is important, right? You follow somebody hoping they'll follow you back, and then follow other people that follow them, and then
Yeah.
but it is a lot of just legwork.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So he created a program and a service that was, 100 to $500 a month or something like
Right.
that.
Something like that. Right.
Yeah, so that was the service and that was the goal. That was
Okay.
the
And you
focus.
said you grew from like, you know, thousands a month to hundreds of thousands a month.
Yeah.
What do you think made you better at this than him? Was it just the fact that he needed more help and he couldn't do it all on his own, or you think you
Well,
had a better like little
I
secret
don't.
sauce?
I'll start by saying I don't think that I was necessarily better at any of this than he was or anything like that.
Right, it was
So,
just the legwork, the actual putting the time in.
well, I don't understand. What do you mean?
Well, like say I come along, right?
Yeah.
And I can't get it up. Why is he only doing 3,000 a month and you got it up to 3 or 400,000 a month? What made that? What was the unique
Mm.
value proposition, right? What was your secret sauce, if there was one?
Oh
You don't
well,
think there
to
was?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I
Oh,
think that
okay.
I think secret sauce can be a bit overrated. I do think that most businesses don't grow a team. They don't grow the company. They don't grow their price point. They don't grow their
Right.
marketing. And so they
It's not
they do
secret.
they do
They just
five
don't do
thousand.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
they just do 5,000 a month. They do 10,000 a month, and
They're
they're
good.
okay. And they're a
Right.
solo entrepreneur. We grew a really large affiliate network at first, and then we also grew the price points and the services and the suite of services over time. And then we also were very aware of what types of clients are going to spend, more money, right,
Yeah.
in business. And
Because they get
so,
more value from it. Sure.
yeah, increasing all things considered. So I think that was that process of growing and scaling was a lot of hard work. I mean, every single day, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of phone calls every month,
Yeah.
and then of course just increasing all the other metrics in business to
Prospecting. Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
Yeah. And for those people listening, affiliate marketing is kind of like a informal network marketing. It's just not an MLM strategy. It's getting people to promote your product and then they get paid if someone else buys, basically, right?
right, yep,
Yeah, exactly. So, and we have a couple of affiliate sponsors for the podcast. Haven't really done much with it, but that's a skill in and of itself. You can build revenue streams just from affiliate programs if you're out there looking for them. Yeah. So what over the years? So how long have you been doing this now? You said 7, 8 years, something like that. Personal
yeah,
branding stuff.
yep,
Yeah.
about that.
So how have you seen? Because obviously, when it comes to social media and personal branding your business, all this kind of stuff, the industry's changed tremendously, and it changes a lot. And I
Mhm.
think even during the pandemic, because we all got forced online, it probably jumped like 10 or 15 years it would have taken, right? And it took
Yeah,
2.
right.
So what kind of changes have you seen in terms of, someone's ability to market and brand and connect? Because I find that it's a very busy, loud, noisy space now when, you could market on Google in the old days. Google AdWords is pretty easy. Buy some keywords, you get some stuff. And now the algorithms, the number of people doing it. So what kind of things have you seen in terms of changes in the marketplace and the difficulty with doing it?
Well,
Or maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong.
the first thing I'll say is I think there are a handful of things that stay consistent through all of this time and through more than 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? The things like
Some things,
trust,
yeah. Right.
okay? Trust at first sight, communication, relationship, all of these kind of key foundations to a great business,
Right.
whether you build a business around referrals or whether you build a business around a brand and a company and a sales pipeline that way, Those things really stay the same no matter what the trend is this month.
Right.
Or
It's
not,
how you
okay?
communicate, not the fact that they need to trust you. They still need to trust you, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so with those things being at the core foundation, when you think about social, whether you're on Instagram or
Hmm.
Facebook or YouTube or any given platform, it still comes back to uh, what is your real end goal that you'd
Yeah.
like to happen. Okay, you
Okay.
have
Of
gained some
course.
clarity around that.
Yep.
What is your business and who are you talking to? What's your offer? Do you have that figured out? Okay.
Right.
um,
So you're talking things like mission statements, ideal customer profiles, the actual offer, what it is, does it sync up, right? Those types of things. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting when my clients, when we work together on their business and their brand, it's very unorthodox because everyone's looking for like the content strategy
Right.
answer, okay?
Yeah.
But my questions are like, do you have all this other important shit figured out in real
Yeah.
life?
Right.
Do you have your business actually ready to go? If I gave you 20 people right now that want to
Right.
talk to you, are you ready to create the ROI that you say
Right.
you need
Are you ready
so
for the
badly?
scale? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, or so you mentioned, at some point there's got to be the ROI with the personal brand, and I think that a lot of people they don't really create clarity around what would that ROI be? What
Right.
does that look like?
Right.
If you did, then instead of worrying so much about, I don't know, how many likes or how many views, maybe you'd focus on how many phone calls and relationships and connections did I gain from my Instagram or my LinkedIn or my Facebook this
Right.
month?
Yeah.
And that's going to translate into real life
Yeah.
real
Real
life
business.
results.
Right.
Okay, those results are going to translate into, as an example, revenues and monies that you can put back into growing your brand.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's kind of this like interesting tipping scale where you grow the business so that you can start growing the brand and have something clear to talk about and know why you're there and what you're doing, what mission you're really on. You grow the brand and figure out a way to get that first X amount of connection, relationship, money, revenue from that, and then turn around and put it in and really start to put some gasoline on the fire. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so I think that the biggest names in podcasting, the biggest names in business, in entrepreneurship, they had immense clarity
Right.
on what mission they were on when they went into building the brand, building their name,
Right.
having this massive podcast. That would be a definitely a key indicator.
No, yeah. I mean, we're back to that word clarity, right? A lot of people just dive into things. And like you said, they start posting some stuff. They get a VA and they start doing things here. Excuse me. And there's not like a real strategy
Yeah.
around where they want to end up, right? I guess that's what you're saying, right? If you want to go down a road, you got to know like what road you're on and where it's supposed to end up, because then you don't know why you're doing things, right?
Yeah, it's okay if you
Like dabble and
it
get started and test.
absolutely
Still
nothing
need
wrong
the
with that.
clarity
I want to
eventually.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I want to be clear, like, of course, but don't be the horror story where you say, well, I posted every day for a year
And nothing
and
happened.
nothing happened. I've had a
Right.
podcast. I talked to some podcast hosts. I'm on episode 6,000
Right.
and like nothing has ever happened from it. And I'm like, what, like
Right.
maybe, like I said, maybe you're 1 degree off
Right.
from what should I be doing? Who should I be interviewing? Is this even intriguing at all? Like, do
Well,
people
that's
even, you
certainly
know?
begs the question, right? If you have that many
Yeah,
episodes, I mean, it took me probably 80 plus episodes before I was finding, I didn't have to find my own guests, and the guests were consistent, and it did lead to business for my firm and, things like that. But yeah, I think that a lot of people just do things. Then they go, oh, it doesn't work. I mean, we were posting
sure.
every day and clearly they're doing something wrong, because we know the opposite is true, right? We know that people post and do things the
Yeah,
right way and they do get traction. And it's not like there's something that's weird about you that, maybe your posts are off. Maybe the message is bad, right? Or
right.
it doesn't resonate with people and they don't test it and they don't ask the question. I find a lot of times people don't even like spend time asking their customers, what attracted you to this? Why did you do
Yeah,
business? Why are you following us? What makes it compelling? The ones that I know, and I'm sure you have your clients that are good at what they do, they're always asking their
Well,
their
think about that,
customers,
right?
right?
So think about the idea of deciding on what you're going to post
Yeah,
first
right.
before having enough conversations about what
Yeah,
makes
like
you
how would you
what
even come
makes
up
you
with the post?
interesting,
Yeah,
what makes you special.
right,
If you use your social to gain relationships on those phone calls, you can pitch your ideas, you can talk about what you do, watch how people are either interested, oh my goodness, I love that, or okay, that's nice, that sounds neat. You're going to get more feedback to create a brand. That's why I kind of going back to knowing what you're really
right,
doing.
right.
The worst thing you could do is try to build a brand around nothing.
Yeah,
Try to build a brand
of
and you're
what
like,
you
well,
think other people want to hear, and you'll be wrong 9 times out of 10.
yeah, and you'll still be wrong even when you actually are
Right.
on
It's
the
still
right path.
hard.
You'll still be wrong
Right.
either way. But the worst thing is, like, I have no business, no phone calls, no systems. I'm not doing anything in real life, but I want to build a brand first.
Right.
And so that's really, really tough. That's why in our company Influencer Club, all honesty, 99% of our members have already built a really successful business first.
Yeah.
And then we are helping them catch up to speed and gain the credibility that they kind of deserve
Yeah.
already.
Right.
Okay. So you've got
Right.
these guys that they've built their business. They have 200, employees. They're doing 10, 20, 50 million in real estate
Right. They have a
production.
good story
They,
to tell.
they have a story. They've gone through these
Right.
things. And now, and I'm not saying you need to wait until you have all this, but I
You
am
got to do it at the same time, but you can't do
absolutely.
one without the other. Right.
Exactly. You should have some clarity, some momentum in real life, in the business. Figure that out. And then I promise all of the social media stuff will be a heck of a lot easier
Yeah.
when you are on a
Well, because you
great
know why
path.
you're doing it, right? I mean, you'll have like be doing it with a purpose as opposed to just
Exactly.
some wish in your mind. All
And
right.
you can see those two different, you'll see those two
You see
different
it right
people.
away. All
Yep,
right, let's take a
exactly.
quick commercial break, and then we'll come back and we can start talking about advice for people and how do you get started or how do you figure out what you're doing wrong and that kind of stuff. All right, so you're on mute. I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Evenue. It's the all-in-one platform for small businesses. So maybe you're getting your calendaring from one software and you're invoicing from another, and you are marketing through another one, running your email system and all those types of things, docu-signing, documents. Evenue is a platform that we use as one of our sponsors to run our entire business. So we take all those tools and it merges them all into one. And there's other features like auto payments and integrations with QuickBooks, social media marketing management, and funnels that'll really allow you to run your whole business. So if you want to learn more about the tools that we use, visit evenue.com, EVONUE.com to learn more. There's also a link in the show notes. And be sure to tell them that the Accidental Entrepreneur referred you. This podcast is brought to you by our affiliate sponsor, iEmployee. iEmployee is a virtual assistant service that hires almost anyone for any role in your company right out of the Philippines. Most roles range from $7 to $9 an hour for highly skilled and experienced VAs. And whether you need an executive assistant, social media manager, video editor, customer service, sales, you name it, they have it. We use iEmployee for our VA services, from editing and promoting the podcast to all the PR and promotion of our law firm. iEmployee acts as a virtual field supervisor on the back end with live video monitoring and reports on a daily basis with screenshots of your VA's workday, and along with complete HR and payroll duties. No more paying for overpriced and underqualified workers. There's a link in the show notes to get a 1-week free trial, and I encourage you to take advantage of it. All right, so we are back. All right, so let's talk about personal branding, because way back, and I was dealing with some people, I think she was a guest on the podcast, but we were talking about personal branding, and I had my law firm, right? And I had the podcast, and the podcast was like part of the menu on some of the things in the law firm, like near my blog and things like that. And I thought it was like getting lost, like my personal brand, because the podcast is not really about law, like business law. That I tried that was very boring for people. So it's about, entrepreneurship, and about, like we're talking about today, marketing and the things you can do to grow your business and all that kind of stuff. So I broke that out. I bought MitchFinagra.com and I broke it out and I have a business book that's on there, and I have some other ebooks, and I post when I'm on a show. I'm on a show today at noon, and I put your show, this show on there, and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of started learning about that. But why don't you teach us? Let's go to Jeremy Bishop 101. I'm going to learn a little bit about personal branding.
Where do you want me to start? I mean,
well, where do I start? If I'm a business owner, never really branded myself. I got a successful business, like you said, doing some business, we're not killing it, but we want to get going. What's the first? I think we already answered the first part of it, right? Get clarity
on
with who your audience is, right? Who your customers are, what it is you want to do, what the message you want to send. Then what's step 2? I guess we're on step 2.
Yeah. Okay. So step 2, after you've gotten some clarity on the business, is I would choose 1 or 2 platforms, okay, to go as deep as possible. Okay. I know it's attractive and shiny to want to be on every platform.
Right.
Okay. I promise you will spread yourself thin.
Yeah.
And you will
water
still
down
be
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You'll still be wondering, where's my quote unquote ROI? So, what you're going to do is choose 1 or 2 platforms. I would probably recommend, an Instagram and a LinkedIn. Okay.
Right. Or it's B2B, right?
Or Instagram and YouTube.
Right.
Again, this is about your personal brand. Okay. So business, forget all the misconceptions or preconceived notions that, certain business only happens on certain platforms. It happens everywhere. Okay.
Yeah,
millions of dollars are raised on Instagram in real estate. Tons of things happen on LinkedIn. Tons of things happen on YouTube as well. It's where you build and water your grass. Okay. At the end of the day. Okay. So pick a platform. And the first thing you want to do is kind of like a brand audit. So this is really simple. My profile picture, my bio, and the first 5, 10, 15, 20 pieces of content, photos, images. As Instagram, we'll use Instagram as an example. That's where 100% of our members and clients are. So we're going to go over their profile picture. We're going to go through their bio, make sure that their bio is sharing everything from who they are, what company or business they represent, sharing a data point or something that allows people to understand what level of business they operate at. Okay. So whether that's, I've been doing this for 10 years, or, I produce this amount of in production, or something to tell your potential connection who you are and what level you do business. Okay. Because people are not mind readers. They have to be given this information. So profile picture, clear image of you. Bio clearly says who you are, what you do, maybe what mission you're on, and something personal about yourself as well. And then the first, 5, 10, 15, 20 videos and photos, before you start worrying about your content strategy and editing and thinking you need all of this other stuff, forget that. In the beginning, all we want to do is like a family photo album, or like your business card, your website. We just want to put up clear images that show you in a professional space, a personal space, and maybe hobbies and lifestyle. Okay.
But it should include video. I mean, video is important when it comes to personal branding, or you don't have to do that right away. I know a lot of people, and I have people on the podcast who talk about being on camera, the issues. And some people are, I remember when I started the podcast and I was moved over to YouTube, I was like, I'm going to look at myself, and you get used to it after a while. So what's your comment about video for personal branding?
I mean, well, I don't mean, look, it's very unorthodox. None of those things matter. We're talking about a person who doesn't even have a profile set up yet. Remember?
Right.
So video, photo, listen, this is where everybody gets so caught up, is exactly that. They're like, video. And how long is the video? And 3 seconds. And is it a reel or is it a video? And then immediately they've already lost interest, and they're freaking screwed. And 30 days from now, it's too much. Listen to me, and for all of your people listening, it is this simple. Upload 5, 10, 15 videos or photos. It doesn't matter.
That you can make simply, you don't need a studio to do, right?
That are clear and show who you are and what you do. Okay. It could be a photo of you and your wife. It could be a photo of you and your partner. It could be a photo of you with friends, family, loved ones. It could be a photo of you in the office. It is as simple as that. If someone comes to your page, if they cannot easily and quickly understand who you are in 30 seconds, you've already lost them. So
Okay.
before whether it's video or this, or whether it's, post at this time or captions or no captions, forget all of that. It is
Right.
as simple as, what does someone see when they come to your page? Can they clearly see who you are and get an idea? Okay. A little bit
Right.
of trust at first sight. Read your bio, look at your photos. That's it. That's step number
Don't
one.
overthink it.
No. And in fact, that step one stays the same for the next 3, 6, 12 months. Absolutely. Most people, they change their content strategy, and
Right.
it changes. They forget about the simplicity behind a clear and quality brand.
Okay. Good. So basically for 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, you're just sharing with the world who you are in a simple way.
Yep. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
You're
Great.
gonna be here a while, right?
Right. Well, I would hope so.
You plan on being in business for a very long time. You plan on building a personal brand for a very long time. So in the beginning, just get comfortable and confident in showing who you are, who you spend time with, a little bit about you on a personal, professional, hobbies and lifestyle level, so that when someone actually takes a look at you, they can make a decision. Okay, I see this person is a lawyer, they're in real estate, they're a professional.
Mm-hmm.
I clearly see images of them in their office with their wife, with their kids, with their husband, with their friends, with their family. They look like a normal person.
Yeah.
I think I'll connect with them.
Right. I
You
think I
see,
can relate to them. Yeah.
then they're interested in the business. Then they're interested in the conversation about the business. When someone gets on the phone with me, the first thing they say is, well, I saw you had a massive following. I saw your bio, and I saw you with your wife and your friends. Congrats on your recent marriage or your wedding.
Yeah.
You see, that's the first thing they say. They don't
Right.
say, what's your business proposal? What's the price
Right.
point? How do I get started?
Right.
They want to know you. So that's what social is, an opportunity for you to do, is to share some of that on the most basic, simple level. And then, yes, of course, then we can talk about the next steps, which is really starting to put some gas on the fire.
Okay. So if you take if you take the simple approach and don't overthink things, just start sharing yourself to the world. And I get this question all the time. How often, if I have to post, because I think that's another thing, right? You read and people are like, oh, you got to post. Somebody once told me you should be posting every 50 to 100 minutes a day, couple times a day. I said I would go out of business.
Just listen when you ask this question, how just like you already know, it sounds ridiculous. So stupid. It sounds so stupid. It sounds
ridiculous.
How often? Well, the answer is, what do you have going on in your life?
Right.
How often are you doing things? Gather that content and then post it. Okay. This concept that if you post every 50 minutes or twice a day, every day, that it's going to magically create some level of success that if you go look on my profile, I have 1 million followers on Instagram. I post whenever I want, which is not very often because I don't feel like it.
Right.
And when I do, then I do. But you understand, here's the difference. The strategy and the system that you have for your social. So are you reaching hundreds and hundreds of people on podcasts? Are you reaching hundreds and hundreds of people through your account? Like actually sending hundreds and hundreds of messages to them, speaking with people, communicating, building relationships. So although I might not post every day, my Instagram, my brand, my social books probably 100 to 200 phone calls, discovery calls every month, just from the brand.
Because you're connecting with different people, right?
Right, because you're using this thing that you've created as an asset in your business. Okay, so after you create the foundation for the brand, that's when you start to actually decide on some key important action steps that you should be doing. So again, it depends on where you are in the business. If you're in the early stages of business, that's where you're going to be thinking, I do need to build relationships. I do need to look for maybe my next 5, 10, 15 clients. I do need to look for referral networks and relationships through that, in that regard. And then that's where you'd start to do things like actually go connect with people. and
Yeah.
actually go send messages to people. I know it sounds crazy, but there are others on the other side of that message that
Right.
can give you a phone number. You can have a real phone call, and that can turn into some incredible opportunity in real life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not just putting stuff out on social, it's taking those connections and building relationships with people, whether it's digital or texting or whatever.
Well, yeah, you'll see someone post every day on social, and then you say, well, how many people did you send a message to? Well,
They looked at you with a strange look, right?
yeah, I don't do that. I post every day.
Right.
So it does take a little bit of stripping away all those questions that you
Yeah.
hear people ask, and they get kind of
Yeah.
stuck, and you're like, what time do I post? How often do I post? How many views should I be getting? Should I be doing video or not? And you get so distracted by, no offense, but all this stuff that doesn't matter.
Right.
Especially in the beginning, it really doesn't matter, because the difference between you having 100 views and 500, not a big deal.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the difference between you sending 0 messages or 100 messages to somebody you might be able to do business with,
Right.
or connect with, or build a relationship with, or 100 podcast hosts that you
Right.
could send a message to and say, hey, Mitch, I'd love to be a part of your show. Here's my background. Here's what I'm doing. Imagine if you send 100 messages to 100 podcasts, what that might do for you
Right.
versus just doing the posting every day. Okay. So you got to come up with some simple action steps and keep some basic common sense logic on, why am I here? What am I here to do? What am I
How to
here to get
connect
out
with
of
people.
this?
Yeah. I think of the analogy is like you go to a networking event in person, right? And they go around the room and you say who you are,
Yeah.
and then you just leave. You don't meet anybody. You don't get business cards.
Yeah.
You don't connect. You don't tell them anything bad. You don't grab coffee afterward. Nothing. And then people are like, I went to all those networking events. I don't get any business out of it. And I go, I've never seen you like after you leave,
Right.
after they announce everybody. It's kind of the
Right.
same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the exact same thing. I walk into the room, I look around, I see someone. Hey, Mitch, great to meet you. My name's Jeremy. In 10 seconds, I'm like, I help build personal brands on social, help guys get booked on podcasts from 0 all the way to Netflix superstars. What do you do? You're like, hey, Jeremy, lawyer. I do law in this space, this space, this space. I help people do this, solve their problem. I'm like, that's really interesting. I actually think I might need your help there. And then within 2 minutes, I'm going to put your phone number in my phone and build a relationship with you. Shoot you a message, schedule a call, have a
Right.
time, and guess what? You and I will follow each other because of that phone call, because of that relationship. We start to actually connect on social, and
Right.
it turns again. That's again, people. How do I get more comments? How do I get more followers? How do I get more likes? Go build and go build new friendships, connections, and I
Right.
promise that'll reciprocate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always tell people that part of growing your business is to keep in touch with people and build an email list, but that's not the end of it.
Right.
You got to be reaching out to those people. So yeah, good advice. Okay. So what about step 3? So, cause I know we're coming up on 50 minutes. So let's say we got another 10 minutes to talk. So now you've gone 8-10 months down the road. We've listened to you. We've shared ourselves with the world, right? Maybe we have a website, maybe we don't, whatever. So now we're making these connections, we're starting to do stuff. What's step 3 to really, you said gasoline, I think was your analogy, right? Gasoline on the fire. So
yeah, this is where, when you have enough revenue and enough growth in your business, let's say you're between 150 to 500,000 a year in earnings for yourself. This is where you need to really make a conscious decision to put a significant amount back into your marketing and your growth. And if you're going to book one podcast, you should book 100. Okay, and find a team to do that for you, or do it yourself. Or hire in-house and build it. If you're going to grow your following, you should grow it by hundreds of thousands. Okay. Going through influencer publications. If you're going to get your name out there, you don't want to do it little by little. Slow and steady does not win the race in this game. Okay. And so you build the business first, you have the foundation, you've got the war chest, and then go ahead and reinvest and deploy it and grow. I promise it'll make a difference. If you're wondering why some people get invited to the big speaking events and you don't, if you're wondering why some people get onto the big podcasts and you don't, okay, it's not because you're not successful, but chances are it's time for you to really put some of that money to work and build the brand, build a team around you, hire a team, whether that's my company or there are many others, I'm sure, that can PR companies and can take care of you and put your name on a pedestal. You have to do it yourself. Okay. There is the 1%, the 0.01%, the Justin Bieber, that you just become a worldwide sensation. Otherwise, even the most successful people you could possibly think of, TV stars, celebrities, they still have a team of people growing
Big
their
team.
name.
Big team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So build the business so you can have the resources to absolutely catapult and push the brand even further.
Okay. Well, I mean, it all makes sense to me. I just think that people overthink things and they're told different kind of stuff and they don't know where to start. And, to a certain extent, I think that there is a psychological part to it, right? Like people are afraid to get out there and they're afraid to talk and they think like people aren't going to relate to them. And I mean, I haven't met anybody who goes out there and then people are throwing tomatoes at them. Like that doesn't really happen. If you're genuine, if you share a genuine story and not be silly online,
Yeah, and to your point, that's such a great way to maybe kind of put a bow on this, which is, you've got to have fun with it. Do not take it so seriously. And what I mean is, people are so concerned about how many followers they have today.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening or what's not happening at this very moment. And I promise you, just grow, find great teams, go do as many opportunities as possible. If you ever hear somebody say, I'm not going to do that podcast because it only has a few listeners.
Right.
I'm not going to get on Mitch's podcast because it only has X amount of, it might not be my audience. It might not be my target demographic. I promise you're making a big mistake. You should get on every opportunity. Okay. It doesn't matter when you get to 1 million followers, you have millions of dollars, still take opportunities because someone's listening. Someone can find your message. And it's going to benefit you. Have a chance to flex the muscle and continue to be active and do as many, take advantage of as many opportunities as possible.
Well, I appreciate that comment. So guests will keep coming on my little podcast show and not pass it up and say, well, how many listeners does he have? So, but
the difference is that other person won't have another message out in the marketplace. Someone might find this podcast. I've had this happen to me recently. I didn't even know that podcast had been posted. Okay. And this guy calls me and says, I listened to you speak, loved what you had to say. And they were ready to do a deal together. And he had found a podcast that has 0 listeners. I didn't even know it existed. And he found it. And he listened to it and he liked it. Right. So Mitch, thank you for creating a platform for people to come on and speak about what they do and have this interview. And it's an opportunity for both of us. So
I appreciate it. Well, Jeremy, I can't thank you enough for spending time with me from Portugal and sharing those ideas. I think that, people just they overthink things and they're definitely not clear with what they do. And that's why a lot of businesses fail. They don't even have a business plan with things written down that clarify what they're doing. So could probably be a whole nother show. So again, thank you enough. Stick around. Let's roll the credits and we'll close up the show. Hang on. I started the show and I continue the show to bring valuable conversations to small business owners, entrepreneurs, founders, startups, and the like. Conversations about marketing, about networking, about business development, sales, finance, leadership, and all the things that go with running a business to try and move the needle away from the high failure rate that business owners experience, much higher than it needs to be if you take the time to learn the basics, learn the fundamentals, and learn from the guests that we bring on the show. It's incumbent upon the business owner who wants to be successful to find the information that's out there to learn. So we hope that the guests that you hear and the conversations we have are valuable and help you in your business and hopefully help us move the needle a little bit. If you have any suggestions, please write the show, introduce us to guests that we'll have on the show. How can you help us, though, continue to help you? First, please subscribe to the channel. The more subscribers we have, the more eyeballs we get, the more things we can bring to the show, the more resources we'll have to bring you quality content. Like us, if you listen to the audio version, leave us a 5-star review wherever you can. If you follow our posts, if you see our posts, please share those posts, share the content, and link back to our law firm website, which helps us to continue our SEO marketing and grow our firm and help small business owners. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for being a listener, and I'll thank you for staying a listener.